Step one.
You're
Take
such
one.
a good assistant.
Part one.
Do it again. A
Okay.
little lower, right there.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Now we are in sync. Okay. Welcome to Aunt Jean's house. We are talking to the Kleins here about their younger days. And right now, I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about Gladstone Street. And I guess just to set up what it was, I'd like my father to grunt once.
Sorry.
Of course. There we go.
It got stuck on my throat.
Okay, we do have first aid, so if you need a
Okay.
high-loft maneuver, just let us know.
Okay.
But who was there? Do you remember when you moved into Gladstone?
Yes, I do.
What year was that? Do you remember?
Oh, the year.
Or that was around 1929
year.
or something like that?
I guess I.
About
Uh,
19.
That was way back.
How old? You were born. Were you
About
born on
1915 or
Gladstone
16.
Street? Well, so
It has to
you're
be
how
1915.
old?
Oh, I don't remember when
You're
you
80.
moved.
We lived
80.
on Franklin Street.
I know we lived in Franklin Street first, but the year, if Ben was just 80 years old, and he was, I guess we lived there about 2 years when before he was born.
How about
So
me?
deduct it.
No.
You were born on Franklin Street.
I was?
Yeah.
Around 1920.
I didn't know where I was
22,
born.
something like
What?
that. 20.
What?
I thought I was born on Gladstone.
Was
No,
the
you were not.
Was the house new when the family moved in?
Yes, the house was so new,
Street
it
was
didn't
there.
have electricity. And I
Yeah.
remember when they installed electricity,
Well, how long did you not have electricity?
how many years?
Yeah, was it
I don't know.
months or years?
No,
Remember
it
when
was
they installed the
probably a
gas
couple of
range?
years. Remember, we had to go put a quarter in the meter, so the lights would continue burning.
You had to do that every day?
No, well,
Or-
when the
or-
lights started to go dim, we had to put a quarter in the meter.
This is how we heated our house. We had a heater in the basement. We would have to put coal in there, and then Mom would send us down to take out the ashes.
Oh, okay.
And
To shekel
you put
the
in
coal.
more- Then you put in more coal.
Oh, all right. So we're,
And then for Sunday breakfast, my mother would put potatoes and herring in the heater and bake it there, and that would make the most delicious.
It's a coal
breakfast.
heater.
so you actually the heater for the house you used also to cook food.
Well,
No,
just
well,
just on
that.
occasion, no.
There was a little space in the front.
Breakfast
Yeah.
My
food.
mother would put the potato and the herring, wrap
Right.
it up, and it would bake
It
in the
would
heat.
wrap it in brown paper.
That's right.
And
They
in
didn't
brown
have
shopping
silver
paper.
foil then.
Right.
and that would be like a.
Well, it was delicious.
It was.
It came out. The herring was
Well-
was delicious.
What nowadays? Don't they specialize? The latest thing is pizzas, coal. What a coal something? They
Coal
cook
baked.
it over the coals.
Yeah.
The pizzas.
Coal oven. It's
So that my mother
Oven
started that.
Oh, okay. Did she? I wonder if she collected royalties on it.
Pardon me.
I wonder if she collected royalties on it. If it was her idea.
What? You have to talk louder. I'm
She-
not wearing
no,
my
she-
hearing aid.
she only
okay.
she only collected children.
Oh, okay. So how many children were in the house? And
lot.
then, like, what were their ages? Like, what were your relatives?
We're a
All
Gladstone.
2 years,
Six.
all 2 years apart, except Milton. He was an accident.
Yeah.
Milton came 12 years after. 10
I was
years after
16
that.
years old when Milton was born.
So tell me the names of all the brothers and sisters, in like from youngest to oldest.
Do we
Yeah, but
remember?
Ethel was not living. Ethel got married when I was born.
The year that's 3 months.
3 months there. I was
Milton
born
was
June, and
3
she
months
was
old.
married in September.
So Milton's the youngest,
And
and
then
the next one,
Ben.
Ben. By
And
how
Norm.
many years?
10.
10 years?
10.
And
After
then-
that, with Ben, we're all 2 years apart.
All 2 years, and the next one from Ben is
Me.
Norman.
Norman.
All 2
Now,
years.
wait a minute,
Mary,
wait a minute.
And then my sister Mary.
Jane.
She's
Rose,
not here. And I
Yeah.
and Rose.
4 girls and 3
and
boys.
You figured out that every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
Except for Milton.
On schedule.
He's the baby of the family.
So when you're, do you recall like how you used to get around? Like if you had to go out and run errands and things, like
You walked.
all walking.
Corner grocery.
You
Yeah,
walked.
Mom
Well, you-
sent us to the grocery.
yeah, you didn't have to go shopping for it. Everything was local.
Do you remember the name of the grocery store?
Moskowitz.
Moskowitz.
Moscow, Mrs.
This is
Moskowitz.
Moskowitz.
And what would you? Would there be like a time when you had to go shopping for your mom, or would she go herself?
Well, we always
or-
went shopping.
Yeah.
We
Well,
always went
she'd
shopping.
give us
She did
15
look
cents
for
and say, go over and get a loaf of bread. Not
Around
a
the
loaf of
corner
bread,
there was
but
a fish store.
Yeah.
And on Friday, was it Friday? Mom would buy a carp this big. We put it in the bathtub.
You're talking
And
about
my father would hit it
Passover.
over the
That's
head.
Passover, yeah.
We let it swim around a little bit, enjoy it. So then my father would hit it over the head. And then my mother would cook it.
So, did you ever like get attached to the fish, or I mean, you see this live fish?
Well, we used to watch a fish up and back. The fish was angry because the bathtub was too small.
So what would it do when it was angry?
they couldn't turn around.
Yeah.
I had to teach it how to make a U-turn.
Oh, you're a driving instructor, so
Yeah.
that worked out well.
Well, yeah.
So, where did you take showers or baths when the fish was in the bathtub?
Well, with the fish.
You would actually get in
Yeah.
the
Nah,
shower?
come on.
Forget about it.
Right, that was only once a year. That
Yeah,
was
that's-
that was at
that was-
Passover only.
Oh, okay.
But you have to remember that we were 7 children. Well, we were 6 for a
6.
while, and we all had to share one bathroom, and that was
Wow.
tough. We could not take
That
a
was
bath
that
every
was
day.
no easy matter.
And we
My
could not
fa-
take a bath
My
every
father
day.
would bathe Norman and me in the same bathtub water with him.
Oh, okay. So you'd be all in the same.
He used to
All
give us
the
a bath.
same
Every
time.
Friday night we'd get a bath.
So Friday night was bath.
Friday night was
He
bath.
made sure
Well,
that
it was Shabbos.
And Friday night, we had to have chicken. If we didn't have chicken, my father would go out of his mind. We knew what we ate every Friday night. Chicken, what else did we eat?
The
besides
chicken soup
Chicken
Oh,
soup,
chicken soup.
and prunes for dessert.
Prunes for dessert.
and carrots and
So why was there something
Let's-
special about chicken on Friday night? Was it just that he wanted it?
My
that
That's
was
a
that was
custom.
traditional.
Kenneth, that's traditional.
my father
That's
wanted
traditional.
chicken.
No, but that was traditional.
That's traditional
Yeah.
with most Jewish people.
And my
That was
mother
the-
would make
that's the
Russian food. Russian style food that they never eat here
Like what?
today. Well, there was
Pizza.
a food called pizza.
Pizza.
It was a yellow.
Who made from the hooves of a cow.
It was a yellow soup, like
Jello.
thick soup. And we used to take pumpernickel bread, the real pumpernickel, with garlic, and put it on the crust of the bread, and we would dip it in the soup.
Mhm.
I thought
in
you
the
wanted to talk
pizza.
about
Oh, in
that.
the
It's called pizza.
Now that bread, your father was a baker, right?
Yeah.
My father was a baker. He worked at night, and he used to, so that we never had dinner together. We always had to be quiet because he came home about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then he would have to have his dinner, and then he would go to sleep because he went to work about 12 o'clock at night. But he would come home every day. He had a black bag, and in that black
sack,
bag,
a sack.
Yeah.
Yeah, a sack, not a bag.
he would carry home the bread every day. He would carry home delicious
And every
bread.
morning the whole house smelled from this delicious
He brought the bread
onion
home hot.
rolls and
Yeah, but I
hot
want to
bread.
tell you this, you know.
What?
There was a poor family across the street.
Weissman.
Weissman's.
Yeah.
Weissman.
And Brody too.
Wait, but
They
Brody
weren't
wasn't
poor.
poor.
Yeah.
Weissman was poor.
No, but
My
I
mother-
always took bread over.
My mother would put some loaves of bread in a bag
Right,
and send me across the street, put it
Yeah.
on the doorstep.
right.
Yeah, she was a very good person.
Every morning.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's
she
right.
was a very good person. But when we were younger, and on Gladstone Street, do you remember we used to play games? Three steps across the street, or
She
Oh, we
stepped
played
off
a
the
lot of
curb.
games.
all kinds of what?
How about Buck, how many horns are up?
Yeah.
Well,
How do
the
you
girls
play that?
didn't play that game.
How do you
ever
play
hear
Buck
that game?
No,
Buck, how many horns are up?
no. How do you play that?
Great game.
How do you play? I want to know. I want to
Well,
learn.
one guy stands against the wall,
Uh-huh.
and he has a team, three other guys. They all bend down, they hold each other, and then somebody from the other team jumps on you,
On the back.
and then
Holds up fingers.
holds up fingers. And
have
he
to
says,
guess how many
Buck, Buck,
fingers
how
you
many
got."
horns are up? And we have to guess how many fingers he has up.
Oh, okay. And if you got it right, what would
And
happen?
we do it again.
And if you got
Then
it
you
wrong?
win.
Then we
But
change
you
it.
have-
yeah.
Oh, okay.
You have to remember those days there was not even a radio and certainly no television, and we had to find our own supply our own entertainment. So that was the entertainment.
So
but
you-
my father
Mm-hmm.
was a real health nut, and he at 9 o'clock he would come out and call everybody's name, and we had to go in, and we thought he was the meanest man in the whole world Because all the kids were out.
At
But
9
at
at night?
9 o'clock at night, we all had to go in and
And
go to
examined
bed
our hands.
and and wash our hands and teeth.
Now, what time did he get home from work? Like at 9 o'clock, he was already home.
No.
He got home at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, okay. Then he slept, and then by
Uh-huh.
9 o'clock he was
out
awake, and then he'd
and
call you
read-
guys
yeah,
in.
Right.
Okay. And,
And called Jaime.
who was
Called
Jaime?
us all.
Well, you have to understand, everybody in our family, including my parents, had names other than
Their own.
what we know them as.
So what were your names?
Not you.
Well, on the street, my name was Mimi.
Oh, well, I don't. They just gave that
All
to
right,
you.
but my pop's name was Schleimer.
Well, that's
Well,
his
that's his
Jewish
Jewish
name,
name.
Well,
Norman.
but that's
And
what
then-
he was called her. Mom called him Schleimer,
Yeah, well, that's
Well,
his
that's his
Jewish
Jewish
name.
name.
and
That's
her name
nothing.
was Elke
Right.
That's Jewish name.
So what were your names?
Jaime.
You were Jaime?
Jaime.
And how about you, Uncle Ben? What were you? Who were you?
Mutty.
Mutty.
You were Mutti? And,
My name was Jenny, really.
and how about Aunt Rose?
No, Rose was always
Rose was
Rose.
Rose.
Ethel
Ethel
was
was
always
Yetta.
Ethel.
In school, Ethel was Yetta.
Yetta. In
And
school,
Aunt
she was
Mary?
Yetta.
Mary
She was
was
always
Mary.
Mary.
Always Mary. Now, when your father, he was, you say he was sort of a health, he was very particular about health, and he was in the union, right?
Oh, yes.
Now, I had heard something about that bond bread was a bad word in your house.
Well, because they were not unionized. And my father and the group of men there were the founders of the Bakers and Confectionery Workers Union that exists today.
and the Workman's
And
Circle.
they founded it.
He was instrumental in founding the
The
Workman's
what? You
Circle.
I don't know what you
The
said.
Workman's Circle.
The Workman's Circle, but that's not the union. The union was the Bakers and
Well, it's
Confectionery
affiliated.
Workers Union.
Yeah.
So-
And they worked very hard. They had fights and they had all that. But
do you remember when you were living there? Do you remember any stories about Sam coming home and after a union meeting, or was there ever any rough stuff? Or
oh, they had rough stuff.
Well, if they had a baker shop that wasn't union, my father and maybe the others would get in front of the shop and start talking,
They would pick
get on a soapbox and say, this shop is not union. And one time there was a big fight at 4th and McKean, Kajalik's Bakery. At that time, that girl was my girlfriend, the daughter of the bakery owner.
Huh?
And they had a big fight. The police came.
And do you remember your pop coming home from that, or how did you hear about it?
Well, if it happened, you know about it.
Yeah.
The neighborhood talked about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he came home
And he
on
would tell us.
occasion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he came home showing something was happening.
He was a very tough guy.
Yeah.
He would not hesitate in punching somebody. I remember one time in a restaurant, somebody had made a slur about Jews. He got up and punched the guy. He was a very powerful man.
You were there when that
Slug-
happened?
I wasn't there when it
Yeah,
happened.
you heard about
I visited him in jail.
that? How did he? What was his role in like disciplining the kids?
In
Uh,
what?
Disciplining the kids, like if they were naughty or if you guys did something wrong.
He had no role.
It
Well, he had a
I
role.
don't
When he
recall.
came home, Mom would tell him.
Now,
my
if
mother
something
would
was
tell him.
happening that my mother couldn't get under control, so when my father came home, she would refer it to him, and then he would take you upstairs, the back room, take his strap off, and
He never did that to us.
he did that to
No.
me several times.
Really?
Absolutely.
Did he
No, I
ever do
don't
it to you?
remember.
I don't.
No.
Mom used
I'm
to.
telling you, I
Hey,
remember
you.
it vividly.
Well, you.
What he
Yeah.
ever did to us.
But there were other levels of discipline in the house because I was the baby of the family, so I had a house full of parents. So my
Including
sisters,
me.
right? So my sisters used to discipline me
Oh, okay.
at different times for different things.
What would your do you recall like what your mother would do? Like what about like when you just
She had her hands full. She
She was too
she had
busy.
7 kids.
Cooking.
At one time, she would put me in a closet, and lock the door
oh really?
when I was bad.
So she was cooking all the time. That's what you recall.
My mother sewed our clothes,
Washed. How about
cooked.
the washing?
and she
She washed by hand.
washed
our
by
clothes.
hand.
When the Levi's,
What's a rebison?
a rub iron. She washed
Right.
everything by hand.
Well, she also got one of those ringers.
Wow, that
That was later.
That was
That's
later.
later.
Yeah.
That was a lot later.
So you said that you didn't have radio, or back then?
Not when I was real young. I remember one of my friend's brothers got a crystal set. Oh, you do ever hear a crystal radio set? Where you had to put the thing in your ear to
Yeah.
listen.
We eventually got a Majestic.
Well, we
radio.
got
Oh,
it.
yeah.
We got
That was later years, but
stand-up
when it
radio in
first
our
came out.
living room, and then we put the radio on, and everybody would sit around the room listening to the radio.
But the
It was
best
like-
thing we had was the player piano.
Oh yeah.
That was the best thing we had, where
Yeah.
where you would pump, and
play.
the words were on the roll.
Oh, really?
And the music. it
And the
played
music would play, and we could sing the songs.
God, how did
because-
How did we ever get one of those?
I don't know.
Never,
She paid it out. Remember when
I know,
Street?
but that's an
She
expensive
paid
piece
out
of
everything.
equipment.
But that was the most wonderful thing we ever had.
So Uncle Norman, you also got music lessons, I guess, for the
Yeah,
violin.
they came around the street and said, "We'll give you a violin if you take lessons. The lessons will be $1/4 a lesson." And I had to go to Broad Street for the lessons. And somehow or other, it just came natural to me to play
And you
the
walked
violin.
there
Did you
probably.
go to
And I-
settlement school?
I still play.
Yeah.
Then from there, I went to Settlement School on South Street.
Was
on
that
Main-
the Settlement Music School? you
I went to,
to?
Yeah.
yeah, then I was in a concert too. Mom and Pop came to the concert.
Really?
Sure.
I didn't.
So how they managed to? Were you surprised they were able to afford to send you for violin lessons?
It didn't cost money to go there.
Oh, okay.
There was no. We didn't have money. I remember something else interesting. A long time ago, the fire engines were drawn by horses. And when there was a fire, the horses would come down the street with pulling the fire engine.
Oh, really? You
Yeah,
playing
horses.
the bell or?
Yeah.
Well, I remember hearing some story also about was it a horse bringing along ice or something?
Oh,
Ice
well,
man?
before-
Everything.
They come along here.
Every
Any
four
ice
refrigerators.
today?
Any ice today, lady?
There was no refrigerator.
That was Duke.
You put the ice
Ah.
in
Ice and
the
coal.
And
Is that
there
what
was
it
a
is?
pan under
Duke
the.
Ice, is that right?
That was his name.
That was what?
Duke
Duke.
Ice.
His name
Oh,
was
sure. You
Duke.
got to have a whole parade of horse-drawn wagons coming down the street
And the kids
selling
would-
stuff.
The kids would jump on the back and
And in the summer, they used to
steal the
try to
ice.
get the
make
pieces.
a
Pieces
strap
of
some
ice,
ice
yeah.
and suck the ice.
Yeah, get the
stay
pieces. They used to run after the wagon.
And there was a pan under the refrigerator that had to be emptied,
Yeah,
and most of the time it overflowed.
yeah.
And I remember you saying a story once about the horses would leave sometimes little packages.
Well, that was a
Little
big
messes.
problem. You know, when we lived on Gladstone Street, we lived with realizations other than a lot of what we have today, because our street, which is a narrow little street that didn't seem narrow at the time, it's just a small narrow street, and it was perpetually littered with horse droppings.
Well, the hucksters came down all,
Well,
came
sure,
down
there was.
all day.
Now the city came.
Who were the hucksters, Uncle Man?
Hucksters.
Hucksters, they come with a wagon.
Horse and wagon.
Oh, the
How
sales.
about they used to push the
Push
wagon?
cart.
So I think
Some of them
once,
push their own
I think
cart.
once every 2 weeks, I don't
Bananas.
remember it. Then the city had people come around with hand sweepers used to come around and sweep the streets.
Didn't your father once go out and move?
Yes, he did.
What happened
what?
with that?
I didn't know
He
that.
scooped up the horse manure and got rid of it. I don't know where he put it, but he took it. It was in front of our house.
Oh, really? There you go.
Oh, he couldn't stand that.
Yeah.
Well, he used to get up in the middle of the night and do exercises.
Well, that's
really?
because he had
He'd
poor
have- he'd
circulation.
go like this.
And would you
Middle
hear
of
it
the night.
while you were sleeping?
Oh,
How many people did you have? Were all in the bedrooms? Like, was it all the boys in one bedroom, all the girls in the second bedroom, or how'd that work?
Well, there was 3 bedrooms.
Wherever we found a space, that's where
at
we
one
slept.
time we had our whole family. Plus, my
That's
mother's sister came over from Europe, and she moved in with us too.
Oh, Mary.
This,
And
yeah,
Mary.
did she sleep on the sofa?
Yeah.
She slept with me.
Slept-
I don't know where Rose was, but she
where
slept
they all
with me.
sleep?
Who knows?
We found room somehow.
So you didn't have set beds? It would be
No, well,
just.
the
Had to
front
sleep on
bedroom
had to
was
sleep
the
on
large
side,
bedroom.
Otherwise, you couldn't sleep.
Right. I used to sleep against the wall. I think there was a time when I slept with both of my brothers in the same bed.
Could be.
But
Guess
yeah,
that's
in the
when they
middle
married
room,
you,
in the middle
yeah.
room. And I used to sleep So the only way so I used to be the first one to go to bed because I was a little kid. So I used to go against the wall, and I used to be flattened against the wall, and I used to sleep fine. I used to sleep, and then after some things happened where I had more room, for years and years and years, whenever I got in the bed, I always slept against the wall, even if I was alone in the bed. It's the only way I could go to sleep.
I remember also about your mom used to buy chickens live back then. Is that how it worked?
Well, that was the custom in those days.
Did you ever go
And
with
then you
her?
have to take it to the
There
shaykhah.
was a chicken store
On 7th Street.
Roseberry. One on Roseberry.
Oh, on Rosemary Street. All right.
And she would go in there and she would feel for
Oh,
the
in the case, the
feel for the
crates,
fat content.
looking for the fat one.
And she would pick out a chicken and get it to the
Yeah.
what do you call them? The
shaykhah.
What is it called?
The
chef.
chef,
He would slit the chicken's throat.
Well,
and
that's the kosher it. In other words,
let the blood run
But
out.
that's
and
what
she
they
would
you
take
tie
it-
the chicken's feet
She
and
would
hang
take
it up
it
on a
home.
hook, and then according to the rules of koshering a chicken, you have to use a very clean and the sharpest possible knife, so the chicken doesn't feel it. And you take the chicken's head and you slit his throat, and there's a bucket
That's
under
gruesome.
him.
So you saw
Well-
this at this store?
Well, the chicken
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
feel it. Sure, you see a bunch of chickens hanging on hooks, dripping in the buckets.
Let's
That's what.
change the subject.
Well, look.
That's
Well, then she would take the chicken home
Yeah, right.
And you salt it.
split it open,
You
and
salt.
clean out the insides and get
Well,
it.
first you have to put it in
to the
hot
cat.
water. You have to put it in hot water.
Wait a second, she gave the insides to the cat?
Oh, the cat,
The cat,
got
yeah.
the giblets, yeah, and then
We
plus
always
the
had a
head.
cat.
Now the
You had a
cat,
cat, I didn't know.
We
our
always had a
cat,
cat to-
what had it-
to
because-
chase the mice.
Take the mice.
the cat chased
Because
the
I
mice.
remember times when there used to be a Gene or someone would come screaming into the house. There's a mouse in the summer kitchen.
I remember getting rid of one for you when you
Yeah.
had your club over.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
screaming.
What happened there? How did you chase it down? You just chased it and grabbed it, or?
I found it was in the summer little room in the back of the kitchen.
But the cat kept
And
them
I
under
had the
control.
ladies over for bridge, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, I threw the cat in the.
I
threw
have
the
such
cat
an
in there. The
aversion
cat
to
pulled-
mice.
No, you threw the cat in the room?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you do. You corner the mouse and throw the cat at it.
Oh, that cat was good.
He was good.
We had a good
Oh,
cat.
let's-
Good cat.
Talk about other
Now he
things.
was a performer.
What do you mean? Because you caught a lot
It
of
was
mice?
well fed.
The other thing we had an arrangement there was our street, and the street over here in front of us. In between was an alley. An alley.
Paved the alley.
Every house had a fence.
Yard.
A yard
with
and a
a
fence.
fence.
And the street across
And there was a space.
had a yard and a fence. And in between
the
was
fence.
this alley.
Yeah.
And to go through that alley,
3-foot
the
alley.
everybody threw all kinds of junk in
All
that
right,
alley.
let's talk about. My mother used to pickle
Right.
watermelon and tomatoes and pickles in the winter
Salata.
times
You remember
when the
salata?
winters
Salata.
were
And a
really
big crock.
were really much severer than now. She
Right.
would keep it in the yard,
Right.
and it would get like almost frozen.
Right.
And you break through the
Yeah.
ice, and then you take a pickle
Yeah.
or tomato.
But at dinner time, when we had to bring in the pickles, so who do you think went out to get the pickles?
You did.
I did, right. I had to go down and I pull up my shirt and put my whole arm into it, and I never
That
remember
right?
washing my arm when I got back.
I
And it was-
noticed an odor in your arm.
it was full of garlic and everything else.
Brine.
Yeah, brine.
So that's that was a special thing that she would cook, or that you just always had pickles out there,
Pickles.
It wasn't
Watermelon.
or just pickling.
pickling. Right.
that pickled watermelon was delicious.
There was some other stuff we used to have about that. Did she make? Did she put borscht out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, she used to make beet borscht and put it out in a crock.
Did you have a problem with a dog barking next door or something?
No, that's
Let's
Who
hear
told
about
you
that.
about that?
Let's hear about the
no,
dog
that's
next door.
only me. I ain't the only one who had that.
No.
Why? Why do you say that? That dog kept us up all night.
Whose dog
Mom
was
used to
Whose dog was it?
Mom used to throw things at it.
Oh wait a minute, whose dog you talking about?
Leathercock.
Levikov had a dog. See, I didn't know
You
that.
don't remember?
We had a dog problem on Marvine Street. I think.
No, this wasn't Gladstone.
Oh, Levikov had a
And
dog.
this-
Barked all night. Wouldn't let it
Wow.
in. God,
And what happened? It died?
No.
No.
Mom used to throw bottles.
Anyway,
Oh,
when we lived on Gladstone Street, we were pretty far down south. You know, we were like rebels. Anyway, if you went down, there was Porter Street, Shunk Street, and Oregon Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond Oregon Avenue, there was nothing.
Dumps.
Trump's,
What do you call
We
it?
call
the
it
city
the
dumped their
neck.
trash.
They
there.
had
No, but
they
people
had
lived
dumps.
there.
Well, they had shacks
People
there,
lived
weren't
there, and I don't know why everybody called it the neck. That's what we called it, the neck. And white trash lived there. It was, in other words, nothing was paved.
Right.
And these white trash were non-Jewish, and they used to fight with us.
Were the neighborhoods, were there certain ethnic breakdowns like Irish and Jewish?
Well, our
and-
street was all
Yes.
Jewish. Our street was about 100
Well, the
houses,
neighborhood
all
was Jewish. The neighborhood was Jewish.
Our house was 100. Our street was
The
100%
Front
Jewish.
Street, Second Street.
But they
was
used to
all
have
Irish.
some Irish.
No, I
kids
mean
used to
our
come and
immediate
beat up the
neighborhood. It went
Jewish
It
from
was
like
all Jewish.
Shunk
Yeah. Our
all the
area
way
was
up to
Jewish.
Mifflin Street or the other
But
side.
talking about this place in Neck, if there was a big snow, all these guys from the Neck would come to us. We'd have regular snowball fights. We would have forts on 4th Street, and they'd be on one side, we'd be on the other, be throwing snowballs at each other.
Uh-huh. So it'd be sort of like the different...
They were anti-Semitic, you know. They were.
Well, sometimes they had gangs roaming around with more than snowballs.
Yeah,
they used
they
to put
were-
At
potatoes.
night they ran through.
Used to put
street.
potatoes in stockings
Yeah,
and use
I-
them and
I got hit over the head Halloween with,
Yeah.
with a bag with a rock in it.
Right.
He hit me over the head with it.
On Halloween? Someone just came
On
up to you and
Halloween,
whacked
yeah.
you. Did you guys
Is
go...
that what caused it all, Norman?
That's why I'm the way I never recovered. Then we used to go to League Island.
What's League Island?
That's the Navy.
You never
Yard.
heard of League Island?
That's the Navy, where the Navy
never
Yard
heard of
is.
They used to. It was a
They
lake
had a park, a public park.
called a
there.
League
It's
Island. It was,
swimming
you know, it was
lake.
free. You go. It was a lake, and we'd all go there in the summertime
Mm-hmm.
and go bathing.
Would that be like a lot of different neighborhoods would go?
Everybody could
Yeah,
go.
it was
Anybody
city,
could go
city
there.
run.
It was run by the city.
Did people get along okay over there from the different neighborhoods?
Oh,
or-
it's all right.
It was all right there. So, do you recall? I remember my father telling me once that when the Orson Welles did the War of the Worlds on Halloween,
What?
the War of the Worlds show,
Yeah.
when the Martians were supposed to be attacking. Do you
Oh.
remember what
Were you
happened in your
home? Were you
house?
home?
Yeah, I was listening to the radio.
We were all listening to the radio.
I was really
Because
scared
I
when
told
heard it.
him
That
I
was
was
so
I was
realistic.
outside playing
It was so
and it was
realistic.
at night, and I went in to get a drink or something, and I go in, and everybody's sitting around, and Ethel's sitting next to the radio sobbing. I mean, literally sobbing. I said, "What's the matter?" She said, "The world's coming to an end."
I mean,
That
it
there's-
was
that
so
there are-
realistic.
It's coming this way, and there are lights in the sky, and they're coming here, and everybody was so upset. But Ethel she's going out of her
Yeah.
out of her mind.
Did you guys
we
think it
ran
was
into
real
the
when you
street.
first?
I
heard?
remember
Yeah, I thought
running
it was-
into the
Yeah,
street.
and
I
I
don't know
went
what
out.
to think, really.
Because all of a
Yeah.
sudden we hear Orson Welles telling us the Martians are coming. You know.
No,
and,
first of all, the radio went off and said we have an emergency
Yeah.
announcement to make. I mean,
Yeah.
it was so realistic.
Yeah, it wasn't fair what he did.
Well, they
probably
they
made an
outlawed
announcement
it.
before, but I didn't hear it.
Yeah,
So when you finally found out that it was fake, do you remember feeling
yeah.
relieved?
Well,
or-
the next day.
Oh, it wasn't until the next day.
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't remember. No, I guess before the next
Well, I
day.
went outside and told my friends, so we're standing.
I guess they
we're
came on the
standing-
radio and
We're,
said that.
we're standing in the street looking in the sky waiting for the white lights to come because they said there were white lights coming that's going to the Martians are putting white lights in the sky.
So
It was fun, a lot of fun. I mean, well, these things
I have
went
to
on
tell
all the
you,
time.
when Milton was a little boy,
Right.
when he was a little boy, he spent all the time with my mother, and so the first language Milton learned was Yiddish,
Right.
and he used to speak Yiddish, and I used to take him to my friend's house, and we all used to get. Can you imagine this little boy of 2 years old speaking Yiddish? We were all hysterical.
Yeah, when I started school with an accent. I had an accent.
Is that right?
Yeah, in the first grade.
How do you like that?
did everyone in the house speak Yiddish? No,
We
no
didn't
Yiddish?
really
No.
speak Yiddish.
No,
we
but
just
everybody
could say
understood.
little.
I
No,
did.
everybody understood
We could
Yiddish.
speak it a little bit, but not fluent.
I was
you know,
left
we weren't
alone
fluent.
when everybody else before Milton. So I spoke Yiddish with Mom all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my mother went to adult school, and she wanted us to talk in English to
She
her.
wanted
but
to become an American.
She wanted to learn
Desperately.
to speak
Desperately.
English.
She wanted to be an American.
And when she sent me a birthday card, she always signed it Anna Klein. And my father sent me a card from Florida. He signed it, your father, Sam Klein.
Yeah. Well, he's a very formal person.
Yeah.
Now, when did you recall like just what the daily routine would be in the morning? Like when you would wake up, would there be
Yeah, we'd rush to the bathroom.
to see who would get there first?
Right.
'Cause and then
Well, Wasn't
that was
easy.
really a problem.
Oh, it
Boy, was
wasn't
that really
easy.
a problem.
one bathroom, so you would just
9 people.
How would you do? Would you line up, or would you just?
I really don't remember. I think
No, if the door was closed, we'd bang on the door and say, get out.
there's no other way.
Did you all eat breakfast at the same time?
No, and we didn't do anything
In unison.
together.
We did not do anything in
Unfortunate.
unison.
It was very unfortunate.
Right.
In retrospect,
My,
I think it
my
was very-
father liked to lock himself in the bathroom and read the forward.
Oh, the forward.
Read the
He
forwards.
would sit down and
The
flip that
Falvins.
newspaper,
Yeah.
and my mother had to force him out because people had to use the bathroom. But he would sit there for an hour. I think he wanted to just relax, actually.
That's
Well, how about when he took a shower?
a bath.
A bath, but
kind of
also
shower.
he was so intent on removing every bit of unhealthy substance from his body. He used to take the washcloth. He used to stand up, and he started take with the washcloth and banging his back with a soapy wash.
So he wasn't a schwitz.
Well, he made it a schwitz, but he used to
And-
hear it all over the house. Used to be, and then when he used to leave, my mother used to
My
go
poor
up
mother had
and
to
look
go
at the
in there.
bathroom, and there was
But there's
stuff
so
all
much
over
steam
the
there,
The
first of all.
ceiling was
the
soaking
ceiling
The
was
paper-
soaking wet. Everything was soaking
But how
wet.
did he
You
walk
couldn't
out of the
keep-
bathroom?
Yeah, well,
He was
with a
his
towel,
face was red as a
red
beet.
as a
He'd have
beet.
towels all over him. He'd walk out,
Right.
covered with towels.
Right.
And the paper wouldn't stay on the walls, so the paper kept coming off the walls.
Yeah.
So my mother, in desperation, one day painted the
Yeah.
bathroom.
Oh, really?
But,
Did that work?
well, it didn't work because the paint peeled off after a while.
Another thing, we used to like to buy corned beef and pastrami on Saturday. And my father, he looked, he says, "Was ist das Chazarai?" Chazarai is
Junk.
junk food.
Well, it's.
He used to say it all the time, and he didn't want us to buy this Chazarai.
Oh, okay.
I have to tell you something. My father was a socialist. Is this
Okay,
the-
hold on one sec. Hold that thought. So you were saying about
I
the
was
sliced
saying
bread?
about my father. This is a little lesson in history. In those days, a lot of the idealists were socialists. The Socialist Party, remember Eugene V. Debs?
Norman Thomas.
Norman Thomas.
They were
Pop-
the liberals.
Pop was a
They-
fo-
They were the liberals of their
They,
day.
no,
yeah.
they believed that there should not be a very rich person, that everything should be shared.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was, yeah. And I worked for a Republican board leader.
Right.
So one day,
Mr. Honigman.
I had to bring some stuff, some flyers, some that had to be sent out during a campaign. My father came home and saw this stuff on the table. He said to me, "What is this? Get it out of here or I'll burn every bit of it." Do you know I had to take all the stuff across the street to my neighbor and do the work there. He would not tolerate even having any Republican stuff in there.
In the house.
He was very strong in his beliefs.
Yeah, he had some very strong principle. He was a strongly principled person. Some of his thought, his feeling, his ideas were unfortunate.
Well, what
in
about
some
the?
ways,
Didn't
but,
he have
yeah.
a company car that he was very strict with?
That's Gene's story.
It's not my story. Now, when you're a business agent, it came with a car, okay? And there was always the reason my mother and father were angry at their next door neighbor, the Levikovs, because Mr. Levikov and my father were always
Running for the
in
same
contention
for the same
for the
job.
business manager. He had to be elected by the union.
That's right.
So they were always fighting against each other, and they were mortal enemies. But my father, this time, he was the business agent.
Well, he was busy
And
for,
he had
for
the
a
car.
while. He was busy for
Yeah,
many years.
well, off and on.
yeah.
And I went to South Philadelphia High School, which was about, 14 blocks? 15, 16.
Oh,
Anyway,
more than
it
that.
was a long walk.
Sure.
And
17.
even though trolley fare was, 5 cents, 2 for 15. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I walked. You know, most of the time
We
I
all
walked.
walked.
We all walked.
We all walked.
Of course. So my
Both
mother
ways.
said to my father, and it was pouring outside, and she said to him, "Take Jenny to school. It's raining outside." He wouldn't do it. He said, "It's not my car. I can't do it."
Because according to the union, he couldn't
had
use the car
those-
for
For
anything
personal
but business,
purpose.
and that's what he did.
Which everybody did, but he was so principled that he didn't bend.
The guy next door took his kids everywhere. They went on picnics, they
Yeah,
traveled, they
yeah.
did everything with the car.
I recall too, just about like transportation. When your mother, I don't know if she was going to give birth to my father, maybe that's what it was. She went into labor. She had to hop on a trolley. What happened there?
Oh,
I think she walked to the hospital.
It's such a
She
sad
walked.
episode. It really hurts me to even think about it. Because when she went to the hospital, she went through the alley.
Well, and this is while she's in
She
in
was
labor.
ashamed of the fact that she was pregnant.
No,
Oh.
she was ashamed of the fact that she had to go without
Norman, she was
without her husband.
ashamed of the fact that she was going to have a baby.
So
And so
It was
she
Milt.
went
Because
out.
she thought she was
She
too
was
old to have
carrying
a
milk.
baby.
Well, it was.
Because in
it
those
was-
days, if you're over 30, you don't have babies.
I was embarrassed that I was 16 and I was embarrassed that my mother was having a baby.
How did she?
And she went so no one would see her. She went through the alley. I didn't think I was going to tell this.
I didn't tell you to tell it.
And she went to the hospital all by herself. You know, I feel very bad about that whole episode. So.
Well, it's a sad episode. There's
It's
a
one of
lot.
the sad
Look, there's a lot of sadness when we relate
She had-
our memories.
my
There's a
mother-
lot of sadness there.
My mother had a very hard life, but she was a wonderful person. She did the best for her children that she could.
It was difficult because she had to do
My
it
mother
herself.
worked. I think she even worked in Al's factory
Yes,
for a
she
while.
did. She absolutely
She
did.
was a very ambitious lady, and she was full of personality. She loved people. She loved talking to people. And my father was the opposite.
Right.
He didn't
He
like
really
people.
was.
He-
That's an absolutely true statement.
He didn't like people.
He was an extreme introvert.
He
he
really
was an
was.
introvert,
He
yeah.
absolutely
I have a
really-
funny story about my father. One time,
He's a clean.
yeah, one time there was a family, the Weiss family.
Weiss.
They had a guy, Solly Weiss. So he hit Rose. So Rose came to the house crying. But Solly hit her. My father came out. Solly was outside. He started chasing Solly. The whole street followed my father. Me and we all followed. And the whole street, my father's chasing Solly, and about 40 people are chasing my father. And it went all through the street.
Can you picture that?
Until they caught him. I'm telling you, it's the truth.
He's
A
still
line
going.
of people.
He's still running.
You weren't.
I
you weren't-
remember.
Yeah,
So he caught him.
he caught him.
Did you hit him?
I don't remember. I think he shook him.
What about like? Was it difficult since you didn't have much privacy in the house? Like, what about dating? What was dating like back then?
Dating.
Yeah,
Dating.
was there dating?
Dating.
Did you date?
They had what they called gathering
Yeah,
We had parties.
parties.
The
Yeah.
girls would make parties. That's
Right.
Roll up the rugs.
nobody. Who
Yeah,
had money
right.
to date?
No. House parties.
Did you have girlfriends or boyfriends when you were like in high school? Or
Well, on Gladstone Street, there was 100 houses. Every house was Jewish. Every house had a lot of children, most of them, and there were plenty of kids. When we used to go out and play ball on Gladstone Street, it'd be 20, 25 kids.
what kind of ball would you play?
Softball. You don't play that anymore.
Is
Well, you
what-
played a lot of stuff with ball.
Well, they
Please.
never heard of it.
Well, tell me
Well,
about.
of
how about
softball.
half ball?
You
So
play
we
baseball
were
in the
mostly
street.
softball.
Well,
Half-ball
tell-
was-
Well,
Tell me
softball,
about-
You went down to the. You went to the schoolyard
No,
place.
but we in the street we played all the time.
Oh yeah.
Well,
And
played
Holtzman came
baseball,
out
didn't you?
screaming where
to
we
chase you.
shouldn't play.
Yeah, yeah.
You played baseball in the
Yeah.
street?
Softball. Well, you punch the ball with your fist.
Oh, with your fist. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
You don't remember?
But you punch a pimple ball with your fist.
A pimple ball. Yeah.
Oh, see, a softball.
Yeah, you
is,
would throw the
something
ball
else.
on a bounce.
Yeah.
You bounce
Okay.
the ball.
That's right.
You could hit that ball pretty far.
Yeah.
In fact, they used to, let's say the catcher's place was at our house. They used to have to stay out on 4th Street.
Yeah.
We used to hit the ball out to 4th
Yeah,
Street.
right.
And you could hit that ball
Yeah,
far,
okay.
but nobody plays that game anymore.
Did the neighbors have a problem with that, worrying that you'd break a window or
Oh,
something?
there was a guy, Holtzman. He used to come screaming all
Called
the
him
time.
Neil Hamilton. You look like, remember Neil Hamilton?
Neil Hamilton?
An actor,
You
yeah.
don't remember him?
No.
Back in the,
But I remember Holtzman. He
Yeah,
was
he used
a
to
Sephardic.
scream.
He was a
He screamed
Sephardic.
like a woman.
I always
He had
remember
a
Holtzman
voice
because he had
like a
purple
woman. He'd come out
lips.
screaming all the time.
He was the
had a
Sephardic.
high-pitched voice.
Yeah. Label it.
So how about
Let's see.
did you guys did your mother celebrate like Jewish holidays? I know your father was he an atheist, or he just didn't follow it, but your mother
My
did follow
father,
it?
my
wasn't
father was an orphan. You know, it's very sad that we never got any background on my father. We don't know anything about. He was orphaned at a very young age, and we never found out what happened to his parents. But he was raised by a grandfather who was a religious zealot.
Who had a
He
bright red beard.
He was very cruel, and he used to beat my father, and it's very sad. And so my father ran away from home when he was about 14, and
All
he
by
ran
himself.
and he landed in the town where my mother lived.
Right.
So he came to this country when he was 14. About that.
He came over
Yeah.
here. My mother came over here when she was about 14, and then it was my uncle who paid for my mother to come over here, and he
Uncle
also
Pacey.
paid for my father.
Yeah, I don't get that. What was the connection there?
Well, he knew him from
Uncle
of
Pacey
the old,
knew Pop?
from the old country.
Is that right?
And
wow.
the interesting thing, the ironic thing, is that my father wanted to marry my mother. He fell very madly in love with her.
How did he
And
meet
my
her?
uncle, this is when they both came over here, my uncle was adamantly opposed to it. He didn't think that my father was good enough for my mother.
And this is the same uncle who brought him over?
This is the same uncle because he sort of took care of my mother. And but
Well, Uncle Pacey, you know,
he was a very good person.
he came to this country and he sent money and brought back 3 sisters,
Right.
or even 4 sisters. He had 4 sisters that he sent money to come to this country.
But my father, they were married, of course, but my father never forgave my uncle for that, for his whole life.
For that slight.
He wasn't allowed to come to our house, and my
Yeah.
mother used to go visit him,
Right.
but he would not have anything to do with him for his whole life.
Uncle Pacey came to our house.
I don't
I
remember
remember.
that. No.
I remember once Uncle Pacey
He came?
came
I
to
think-
an event, but I don't remember
Oh, an
being in our
event.
house.
Aunt Rose came once,
Yeah, Rose.
but not, no, he didn't come.
Your mother, did she lived with her Uncle Pacey? And-
No.
how did they?
He lived in Wilmington because he had a bakery in Wilmington. But when she came to Philadelphia because they rented a room for her. And when the immigrants came from Russia, they settled in the little area of Philadelphia, South Philadelphia. What was it, Manton Street? I don't know. It was some street. So she rented a room.
Well, it's on the
That was
Well,
Christian.
Christian Street.
Or Christian Street.
Christian Street.
And she rented a room with somebody else, and that's how, yeah.
And then, how did your father meet her? Was there some bakery connection or something? Your father
No.
was apprenticing.
I don't
at the
know. He
time,
went.
or-
My uncle brought him over, and he probably got a room in the same area because all the immigrants lived in the same area.
But he was working for Pacey, wasn't he?
And I don't
Huh?
know
Yeah,
that.
Pacey gave him a job.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I understand.
Maybe.
Did you all celebrate birthdays in your house, or
No.
no birthdays?
We didn't celebrate too much of anything.
Well, how about the story of when I was about 2 years old, I was very sick, and I almost
He
died.
had pneumonia.
They had the
So
flu.
the doctor told...
Flu?
That
Pneumonia.
was
My
the time of the
father, I
First
have
World
to be
War.
in
They
the
had this
country.
tremendous
Oh.
flu
So
So
epidemic.
the whole family moved to the country.
To Norman, New Jersey.
To Norman, Norman, New Jersey was the first Jewish settlement in this country. And we moved to New Jersey
Because you were sick.
that's what the doctor
Well, the
told
doctor
him.
told her
Doctor
to.
told him I have to live in the country.
Remember?
Ah.
when
And
we-
he said I have to drink
I
a
think there was
Goggle
an
Mogul
outhouse
every
there. We
day.
had to go to there.
You know the Goggle Mogul?
Goggle
is?
Muggle.
What was it, a Goggle Mogul?
Goggle Mogul.
Goggle Muggle.
What is that?
I don't know how to spell it. It's
Goggle
a
Mogul.
raw egg with milk. You mix it up and drink it.
And that had medicinal?
I
Well, you're
drank-
supposed to
drank it
you
every
mix it
day.
up and then you warm it and drink it.
I used to drink it without being.
Oh,
And
yeah?
my father worked in
I drank it
Philadelphia.
every
and he
day.
came in by train
Yeah.
weekends.
Yeah.
So is that how you were able to get from New Jersey to
And then
Philadelphia?
from New Jersey, we moved to Gladstone Street. Those homes were just brand new. I have to tell you, the Levikovs lived there first.
On Gladstone Street?
Our next
our
door
arch
neighbors,
enemies.
the Levikov. At that time, we were not.
They weren't
arch
really.
enemies.
They
How
weren't
come
really.
we
But
lived
what
next
I
door to
remember
each
is
other?
that-
I can't figure that out.
What I remember is our house wasn't completed yet, I guess, so I had to go to the bathroom. So I went over to the bathroom, but she said to me, "Don't flush the toilet, you might break it."
Mrs. Levikov said that?
So you wanted you were visiting and you needed to use the bathroom?
I guess
She
we
said, "Don't
came to
flush
see
it."
the house or something. Or maybe we didn't have plumbing in our house. I don't know. I really don't remember the details.
Did your mother do Shabbos with candles or anything?
No.
Or
No.
none of
No.
that? Or Passover or anything? Just
Unfortunately, she did.
No, wait, no, that's we. Mom made Passover
Oh,
food every year. We had the
we
traditional
had pickled
food,
herring for the New Year.
but I don't remember reading a Haggadah at the.
We
No.
don't have any
We
rituals.
never-
Well, we had matzah.
The cooking
We had
was-
matzah.
So the food was the traditional food was there, but
Yeah.
not the.
But I didn't finish telling you about my father. He was when he ran away from home, and he had his grandfather was such a nut about religion that my
He
father.
was a religious fanatic.
That's right. He was a religious fanatic. That my father would have nothing to do with religion, because he felt if somebody so religious could be so cruel, then what is religion all about? He wouldn't even step inside a synagogue.
Did you guys ever go to synagogue? Did your mother ever go? No, she
Nope.
didn't
No, don't say that. I went. Well, I used to go with Mom.
Well, I didn't.
You didn't.
Porter
On-
Street?
On Porter Street.
Yeah, I went in there once in a while. They had all the people in there had long gray beards.
Well, it was an
I never saw any
it was
young
an
people.
Orthodox. But
All old
every once in a while
people
we
with
used to go
beards,
there.
long
Mom,
beards.
Mom
What's
used
the
to like to
neighborhood?
go there.
Yeah.
I remember she went upstairs and sat upstairs. I used
Yeah.
to sit upstairs with her.
But I used to watch my mother every Friday. She would bake,
Right.
and she would roll out the dough, on the board, and she'd
Well,
fill
she
it,
was a genius when it came
and
to
she
dough.
would.
There's no doubt
She
about
would fill it with cherries or whatever, and I would help her fold over. But every Friday, she would bake up a storm, make delicious stuff.
was the role of the boys and the girls different? Like, would the girls help the mother with the baking, or
No,
were you all?
No, I
We-
used to help her cook all the time. I used to. She had a meat, the fish. I used to grind the fish, the filter fish
Yeah.
for her, and the grinder and the
we
meat.
helped her where we could.
Everybody helped when they could.
But there was no organized. There were no organized duties, let's say. I remember my sister Rose hated to do housework, so when my mother finally got after her, said she had to do something. So my mother would have to get the bucket and the brush for her, and right there where she started to wash the floor, and when she finished the floor, she would get up and leave the bucket and everything just there, and she would get it. That was her duty.
So she had to do the floor because
No, just once in a while.
just once in a while.
Oh, another thing. Every Saturday, we would go to the Ideal Theater. It was 8
All
cents.
the kids did.
With
8
your
cents.
lunch, with your packed lunch.
And they'd have all kind of westerns there. The 2 cents was for pretzels. We'd buy pretzels and spend the whole day.
Right.
And that was
See
a
everything
ritual.
twice.
Every Saturday.
Double
we'd go to
feature,
the Ideal
Western,
Theater.
and a cartoon.
They have these cereals
news.
where, you come in and the cereal ends with the.
She's on the
what was her
railroad
name?
tracks and the
She's hanging
railroad-
on
Yeah.
a
the
cliff.
rail-
What was that actress's name?
Pearl White.
Pearl White. She'd be hanging on a cliff. It would end. And come back the next week. It's continued.
She's off the cliff.
You'd have the kids screaming all day. They came there for the day.
So you'd watch it more than
Streaming.
once? You just
Yeah.
Well, the
you'd
first
sit there
time you
and-
watch it, and the second time around, then it's time for playing. So everybody's running around, and it used to be a
Remember when
circus there.
Union bread labels let you in? Collected the Union
No,
labels?
no.
The
Is
labels.
that right?
You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
What kind of labels?
Union
Well,
bread
on
labels.
bread. They had an arrangement.
Oh,
You bought Union bread and cut off the label,
I don't
and it
remember.
would let you in the movies.
Oh my God.
Oh,
what would they do? They would
It'd be your admission to the movies.
if you brought bread.
No, the
The,
Union.
the
Union
label.
label.
Oh, the
The
label.
bread used to have a
Union
Union
label
label
on
on it. I remember the label.
So you could show that to get in to
Right.
the movie. And you'd be just by the end. Would you all do this? Like, did you all do this when you were kids?
Well, when it was in effect. During the week at night, when women would want to go to the movie, they would leave their babies in the carriage and leave the carriage sitting there,
In the
and
lobby.
they go into the movie.
Oh, really? The kids would be out in the lobby.
I'm talking about babies. The babies would be in the carriage.
And then if a baby started to cry, they would flash, on the
Flash,
screen.
baby crying.
Baby crying.
that's right.
So all of the mothers had to run out to see if it was their baby crying.
It would actually flash up like
Yeah,
that.
That's
flash.
right, on
It
the
flashed
screen.
on the screen.
Baby
Baby
crying.
crying.
So you'd see a dash. I remember that when I was, say, 16 or 17, but I remember things were so different because if I had to go somewhere, I would take the trolley, and I came home at 12 or 1 o'clock at night, and I would come home, the door would be open for me, and nobody was afraid of anything.
You know, I never
It's
remember that we
so
locked the
different.
door.
Our door lock was
It
broken
was-
anyway.
It was- yeah,
Didn't
broken.
work.
We had a
Yeah.
life without that kind of fear from the outside. Things are very different.
I remember one night where I came home and I couldn't find the key to the door. So we had under the porch, we had a windows
Yeah. Oh, how many times did I crawl
Wait,
out
let
through
him
there?
finish.
that
Yeah.
led down to the coal pot.
Right. Exactly.
So I went through the window and landed in the coal pot.
That's right.
And fortunately, the cellar door was unlocked.
Right.
Then I put my hand in my coat pocket and found my key. Oh, see, that was,
And
Yeah.
in the summertime, we had a porch. It was very hot. We would sleep outside on the porch.
We had
It
an
was
awning.
like an open porch.
There was no
you know.
air conditioning.
So how many of you would sleep on the porch?
everybody.
All the kids, we,
You'd also-
the
Well,
house
did you
was
bring a
hot.
mattress out or just on the?
Well,
No, we'd sleep
we-
on something.
we put a mattress on the floor in the living room,
Yeah.
and then have a fan, just oscillate.
Well, I used to sleep on the porch.
Yeah. All right.
So you used to sleep on the porch, and how about in the winter? How would you stay warm? Would there be
Oh, we
any
had
tricks
the
you would do
heater.
to stay warm?
We had a heater. We'd go throw another shovel of coal in the
Middle of
heater.
the night, you go down and throw
You
some
throw the coal on the
coal
heater.
on the fire.
And it's basically whoever woke up and was cold would go down and.
Well, when we went to bed, it would be
If we were
burning.
lucky, the fire was still burning.
The fire was burning.
Otherwise, you have to start it over.
Yeah,
again.
Mom would have to start it over.
We'd have to
again.
stoke it to take out the ashes.
How do you start it? Like when you gotta start the.
Get a newspaper and put some coal on top and you light it.
You light it.
Now, where did you get the coal from? To
They
your
deliver
house.
it, just like they
From
delivered oil.
Mr.
Fox.
Fox. Mr. Fox. He used to sell.
Everything.
No, I don't mean that.
He was installment.
What do they call the illegal coal?
The what?
The illegal coal. He was at
Illegal
the.
coal.
Black market coal.
No, there was another name. He was.
I don't know.
But you would buy it from a vendor who sold a lot of things.
Oh, I don't remember that. Just I remember he used to sell bootleg.
Contract.
He
He
used to
also
sell.
was a bootlegger.
He used to sell boot. Mommy say he sells bootleg coal. The one thing that our house always had plenty of good. That's bread. We always had good bread.
Well, of course.
I mean, even when Pop was the agent, we used to. There was just certain breads we used to go get. The good.
Well,
rye
we're
bread.
connoisseurs of
Pop
bread.
brought
We
bread.
are
He-
connoisseurs of
He
bread.
brought bread when he was business
Was he?
agent. He always brought
Okay.
bread. Sure.
Um,
Gold medal bread.
Yeah,
We have to talk about my mother.
that's right.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Apparently, your father was very much in love with your mother. I'm curious to hear
Well, in his way, he was.
about that
He
a little
really
bit.
was.
I never saw any evidence of that.
Well, in his way, you'd have to define what you mean by love.
Did you ever see evidence of your father loving your mother? Beat her up with
not in
each
the
other?
ways, not in
Did
the
you ever
ways.
see him hug her?
Never.
No,
No.
he didn't know how
hug.
to. He did not know how to show affection.
He didn't show it. He could not project affection.
because he wasn't brought up.
He didn't
that
have
way.
it in him.
He. So
But
now,
when he when it was well, it was kind of when he got older, he really only wanted to be with mom.
Yeah.
He really yearned to be with mom, and no, I think he really cared about her, but
He did.
he had his
He couldn't display his affection.
Right,
didn't
and
have to
he
do it.
had-
and he wasn't thoughtful or good.
No,
Why
he
are we
wasn't.
talking about? Let's talk about my mother, and the good things that she did.
okay.
Tell me.
My mother had hands that were golden.
Golden
Golden
the
hand.
Golden the hands.
My mother could do everything.
Yeah.
She could knit, she could crochet,
And she did.
always managed to make an extra buck. Many years ago, and the young people won't know about this, but they used to wear slips with crocheted yokes. The yokes were crocheted, and my mother used to crochet the yokes for the people, you know, and she
for
made extra
children,
money.
weren't
And then she made smock dresses. She made the most beautiful smock dresses. She made one for me once, and I wore it to school. And the teacher stopped me and said, "Where did you get that beautiful, beautiful dress?" And she could do everything.
Well, she crocheted tablecloths.
Yes, I have
gigantic
tablecloth that she crocheted,
Right.
and she knit, and she could do everything.
How did she find time to do all these extra things? It seems
Well,
Well, she also
Found out.
played the numbers.
Oh yeah.
Every day she played
She played the numbers.
721 in a box. That number comes out regularly.
did you
did she
recall
ever
her
win?
winning?
Sure she won. That number always came out.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
721.
Mom
Remember-
loved the card game. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Remember Richmond? He was the number writer. Richmond.
I don't-
Herman
I don't
Ellis's
know.
friend,
Richie
Richmond.
Little, remember Lieber?
Oh, Richie, yeah.
He came around every day. Mom would give him a nickel or a dime.
In a box.
A nickel. 721 in a box.
Right.
And you watch today, that number comes out often.
Did your mother love music?
Did she what?
Was she
No,
did she
not
love music?
particularly. I don't
No.
remember that, no.
No, she wasn't
But
into
the
music.
children loved music. All the girls played
My
the piano.
father loved music. My father loved
Yeah, that's right. We had
I'm back to
records.
my father, but he was he was a great intellectual. He read every Yiddish book.
He had a whole library
He had a
of-
whole library, and he read every good Yiddish book. There were a couple of authors that were very good, and he loved good music. I think I still have a couple of records that he would sit and listen to.
Was there a certain time of day that was devoted
No.
to that, or would you just
Whenever.
be, whenever?
Whenever he had spare time, he would play. But my mother didn't have time to sit and listen to the music. She was too busy sewing or cooking or trying to make some extra money.
Yeah,
or
my
whatever.
father was totally detached from what. there was never any
How
coming
about
together as far as
the
their-
Jewish Theater on Arch Street.
Yeah, well, he went to that.
Did he go there?
Yeah,
What was
he
that?
used to take me.
The
There was
Arch
a Jewish
Street
Theater on
Theater,
Arch Street.
Yeah.
Oh, Jewish
they-
shows.
and they have the Jewish shows.
Is that the Troc now or no?
And
It
the
became
Jewish
a burlesque-
shows-
It became a burlesque.
The
house.
Jewish shows
Rock.
always
Yeah.
ended up with the mothers going to the poorhouse, or the.
Yeah, they were all tragedies. They were all
And everybody would sit and cry.
yeah.
And
Oh,
the parents
terrible.
would look at the children and say, "Is that what you're going to do to me?"
When we
But
were
always
kids, we used to hear a lot about the poorhouse.
Poorhouse.
If you're very poor, you go to the
Well,
poorhouse.
they didn't have
Remember that?
nursing homes then. They didn't have.
Well, see, it's strange because the way I remember it, I don't know that we ever knew we were poor.
No, we
Pop
always
made
had
a-
bread.
Pop made a living.
We
Well,
always
I
had
made it.
bread. No, we.
So I'm
They were
not
all-
sure
well,
we
you-
really
you-
knew we were poor.
You
We
don't
weren't
remember.
rich.
We were poor. We were poor.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
no,
we
we
had
were
food.
not poor.
We had.
Everything was bought on the installment.
Right.
We had a pair of skates. Every day, like maybe Monday was my day, Tuesday was Rose's day, Wednesday was Ethel's day. That was our chance for the roller skates.
So you had one pair and you passed it
One
around.
pair, and every day somebody else had.
Just like the
used
kids
skates.
nowadays.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, same thing.
So you bought things on installments. Was there something?
Everything was bought on the
Everything,
installment.
right.
Everything.
That
It's
means
one
that you were
thing,
paying it out?
when it came to finances,
Yeah.
my mother didn't know anything about.
Yeah, but
Not
she
the
was the only
IRS.
one that did it. My Pop wasn't involved with
Everything
the house.
was paid out,
Right.
Because she didn't have any money,
and she was probably cheated so much.
of course.
Right, right.
Paid
You-
twice as much for everything, but, you know, she was just given a certain amount of money to pay for everything, which was never enough, and that's, but in doing that, she brought a lot of fun into our lives, a lot of light and happiness, because we had the player piano, and then we had the Victrola,
Oh, yeah.
and
What was the Victrola?
the Victrola was
Record player.
a record player. we
Well,
called Victrola.
it was a box, a large box, like a
You saw it in these movies, you ever see a movie of the old
stand-up-
days?
Oh, okay.
You know, you put the needle in,
metal needle, played 78s.
yeah.
I still have some of those old records.
Yeah.
And your
I
mother?
have Caruso and Gal Kirchi. Is that with her? Was that the whatever? These opera singers in those days.
What about? We actually haven't talked about school at all. How did you? Do you have anything to say about school? Like, how was it? Was it?
There's nothing to say about school. We went to school every day and we came home.
So did
That's Thanksgiving.
your mother or father ever check your homework or anything?
No.
No,
However,
they didn't know English.
however,
They didn't know
the strange thing is, no one didn't know. No, but Mom went to Teachers' Day.
Oh yes.
No, Mom went and talked to the teachers. But the point is, I don't remember except for one. We all went to school. We didn't cut classes or attend. I never remember any of that. We just went to school and did what we had to do.
Didn't I check your homework?
You were there. You
I
were there.
checked your
Yes,
homework.
you were.
So-
Yeah.
So did you? You lived through the Depression back then, right?
Of
Sure
course.
did.
Were you conscious
Yeah.
of it when you were there, or was it more like something you
What?
learned about after it happened?
The Depression.
Did you know you were having a depression?
Well, depression. I was grown. I was working when we had the depression.
How did it affect your household, or maybe it didn't?
No, it didn't.
No, our father worked all the time.
Yeah,
Everybody has
Everybody
to eat bread.
needed bread.
Yeah.
Everybody. And for a few summers, my father would get a job down the shore in Atlantic City, and my mother would, the kids would go down the shore for the summer, and my father worked down there. Do you remember that?
I remember.
Sure.
He
The
went
whole
down
family
shore.
went for the summer,
Well, sure. My
including your
mother
mother?
would rent an apartment, and they would go down there and live there for the summer, and my father worked down there.
Actually,
He worked, by the ovens. He put the bread in and took it out.
Right.
And there was no air conditioning in those days.
I was curious about something you said earlier, that your father slept like during the day. Was there a lot of pressure to keep quiet? I mean,
Yes,
that must have been
we're all
such a
told.
crowded house. How
It
did
was
you?
a major situation that was there all the time. My mother used to walk around the house saying,
Say,
"Shh,
shush,
shh,
shush,
shh."
shush.
She always shushed us up, always. Because if we awakened him, it was not a happy scene.
Had that
It
ever
was
happened?
Not sure it happened.
Not a happy thing. It's putting it mildly.
Boy, he used to because he says he won't be able to work. He did do very heavy work, but
Yeah.
You know, they worked about 16 hours when he first came over in a hot bakery shop. That's why he was so fanatic about the union. He was getting, how much did he earn? About $10 a week? $12 a week? He put in about 60 hours a week in a hot bakery shop. That's how they formed the union.
But coming back to my mother, I come back to my mother.
yeah, go ahead.
My mother was always very anxious for the boys to go to college, and she maneuvered somehow, to pay for it. And she used to borrow from the corporation, remember? And
What was the corporation?
It was the
It's like a credit union.
corporation
It's like
was
you pay your dues and then you borrow
a group
money.
of people. This is all Jewish. A group of people that loaned money,
Our immediate neighbors mainly. There was a
loaned
corporation.
money to people who needed it, and then people paid it back to them.
So this was just your neighborhood had like a collection?
No, there was just
Yeah, but that was a
neighborhood.
concept that was brought
It was called the
over from
corporation.
Eastern Europe. That's because there used to be no banks. There was nobody to go to loan money, and there used to be within each community had this had people who pooled their money and loaned it out to
But,
people who needed it.
My mother, despite the fact that we were 7 children, she was always there for each one of us. She was always there. Anytime we needed anything,
Yes, she
was
was.
there for us.
Do you remember any particular time that she
Well-
helped you?
Uh,
Any of you?
Well, when I got once, I was really very sick. Not once. We used to be sick, but I got sick. I had a pretty good. So I had a bad cough, and so the prescribed medication at that time is that she used to save. She used to save the flour, the bags that the flour came in. They used to be made out of cotton. So she'd cut out. She'd take the bag and she'd cut out space for your arms, and then she'd take mustard, dry
Mustard plaster.
right? She used to make a mustard plaster. You used to take dry mustard,
That's
and you
what they
mix
did in those
you
days.
mix it right. You don't. There was no Vicks 44 around, so you used to take dry mustard and put it and mix it in with the whites of an egg, a few eggs, and then you take you take the flour bag and you spread this on the flour bag. So you spread it all out, and then lay it on your chest. So the
would
mustard
heat.
is right on your chest. So when you first put it on, it feels nice.
Well, it's
After a
hot.
while,
It's
No,
hot.
but when you
After
first put it
while
on, it feels
you-
nice. But
Yeah,
then
we all had
that.
it starts getting hot, and then it
when you
starts
took
getting
it off, you
hotter.
had blisters on.
Yeah, but your skin is just this flaming red.
Yeah, but it helped. It
Oh,
worked.
But I'm here, so I guess it helps.
Do we call it a mustard plaster?
A mustard plaster.
A mustard plaster.
But that's what. So these are the things. Yeah, she help. She always helped.
She was
She
always
helped with
there.
everything.
And Norman, when you decided you didn't want to go to college because you were in love at the time, you had a girlfriend, and my mother. And
Well, I was in the army.
no, you weren't.
What do you mean? At the age you're going to college, I
Norman.
was in a. I was in
Norman,
a,
you weren't in the army. There wasn't a war then. Don't you remember when Mom went to a factory and got shirts for you, and you were selling shirts?
Well, Mom didn't get shirts for me. I got them. I started a shirt business.
Okay.
So who was Uncle Norman? Who were you in love with?
A girl.
A redheaded
girl.
girl. Yeah. Anyway.
But then he had to go in the army.
But
and
I
that
just wanted to
took care
show
of
that my mother
Yeah.
was there for everybody. When any of us had a problem, my mother was always there for us.
I remember when I had a tooth knocked out in a fight. She dragged me to the principal to show him the tooth was knocked out.
And what happened?
Well, what happened? What's the principal going to do?
Did you find the tooth? They could have put it back again.
No. I don't think they could do it in those days.
Well, you were in that house during World War II?
The what?
Yeah.
During World War II? Do
Right.
you remember that?
Milton was home.
I
Well,
was.
the 3 of them were in the war.
So y'all
Well,
Milton
I was in the
after-
Korean War.
After Milton was in the Korean War.
Yeah, but the 3 of you were in the war.
Well, Norman, I think, was the first person drafted.
He had.
No, I mean of the 3 of us.
No, of anybody. You
No.
went.
Well, I was in the States for 9 months and 30 months overseas.
Right.
Excuse me. Do you have a time limit when you're going to stop?
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, we do, but we have time. How did that?
Oh, I have a funny story to tell you.
Uh-huh.
Is it clean?
When I came home, I came home in a cab and I went in a house. My mother was, she went to 7th Street. 7th Street was where they all did the shopping.
The Zibital.
You know.
They had the carts.
It was a
Everybody
street
did their
with
shopping.
carts. That street was lined with carts. People selling carts. And this Mrs. Wexler across the street saw me come
One of
home.
our neighbors.
And she knew my mother, she knew Mom was on 7th Street. So she ran out of the house. She's a little lady with little legs. She ran to 7th Street, which was about 3.5 or 4 long blocks, and she found my
That's
mother.
more than
More than
that.
that.
And she found her, and my mother came running in the house, out of breath.
She was so excited.
Because she said, "Dein Sohn is dream, dein Sohn is ein dream."
Which means
Your son is home.
Yeah.
so that was very big. So she
She ran all the way from 7th Street. She ran all the way home.
so she loved you guys a lot, huh? Showed it in a
Well,
lot of different ways.
She once said, I said, "Mom, who's your favorite child?" She said, "You see, I have 10 fingers. If you cut any finger, it would hurt. Cut any finger, it hurts just as much." Now, isn't that wise?
Yeah, definitely. So, so in Gladstone Street, in that house, I was there the other day, and I saw it was. You said you had a porch on it, and
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all different now.
it
It's
looks
not
like
there
They
anymore.
took the
They
porch
took
away,
the porch down.
and they they covered the front of the house with shingle, with aluminum siding.
Was Aunt Rose there in Gladstone Street too, or had she?
Who?
Yeah, she
Rose.
was
Aunt
there.
Rose.
Sure.
Rose.
They were all, everybody was
Sure,
there.
everybody
Ethel
was
was there too.
Ethel
No, Ethel was
one of the
married,
neighbors'
but
sons.
Ethel used to come and visit us,
Every Friday.
because we had so much room in the house.
Every Passover.
She used to come and stay like 2 weeks. She used to for the holidays. She used to stay for extended visits,
So she,
which
even,
With Morton when she had this one baby.
yeah.
so even though it was so crowded, she still wanted to come back.
Well, we found room for her, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh
And-
yeah, that was her life there. Where she was living at the time, they were all strangers. Her life was on Gladstone Street. Her in-laws were there, or we were there.
How about the time Mrs. Ellis, Ethel married a Ben Ellis who lived a few doors away from us.
All right.
And this woman, Ellis's mother, what would I call her? She was like, how would you describe her?
I'm not sure what.
Everybody
what you're
came
getting
to
at.
her house.
Oh.
People
She
came
was a
out from all over.
center of activity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she wanted a great big wedding for
For her son.
her son and Ethel. And she wanted to invite the whole world. So she came into our house one day, I still
I was
remember
there.
that. And they had a big fight because what she wanted, my parents couldn't afford it. I don't know how they ever settled that.
I don't think they ever settled that.
Yeah, so,
Because there was always
but
animosity.
they got married, yeah.
I remember there being always animosity.
Yeah, they were never friendly after
No,
that.
except when Mom used to go to play poker at their house.
Mom was a good poker
She
I
player.
can
was.
tell you, she was my mother was very bright.
She really was.
Unfortunately, my mother never really had the chance to realize her potential and
Right.
what she could do.
If she was here today, she'd be a computer programmer.
She
Sound like
was
she held
very,
the house together.
very industrious,
she's a very bright lady and
Smart
she was very
lady.
talented.
talented.
Did she do all
But I
the?
have to tell you about my sister Rose too.
Mhm.
My sister Rose, who was 2 years older than I, she was beautiful. She and Ethel were very, very pretty. And then I came along. My mother used to cover the carriage when I was in it.
Oh, what are you talking
Yeah.
about?
Anyway,
has
that's
this,
not what I started
Yeah, he
saying.
has his thing.
She has a sing about herself.
She was very talented. She was very graceful. She could dance, and she had a lovely singing voice. And she went to Workman's Circle, I think it was, and they had a play. And she was the star because she danced and she sang. I think it was in Yiddish, but I'm not sure.
She not only spoke Yiddish, she wrote it fluently, Yiddish.
Yeah, she went to the Workman's Circle had a Yiddish school, and so she learned to write Yiddish.
Aunt Rose did.
Yes.
Your sister
She
Rose?
was
She could
she
read
was
and write.
very sharp.
Yeah, and she was the star of the show, and she was very well coordinated. I remember when they used to play baseball on our street, and they would go like this. I don't know.
Well, all the boys called Rose Lefty.
Yeah, and
Well, that's because she broke her
they-
right arm, and then
And they
she
always
was a
chose
lefty,
her
so
first.
she was lefty.
because she was a very good baseball player.
Yeah, she
And,
played with the boys.
She played with the boys,
Yeah,
right?
she,
Was that unusual?
She could do everything.
Well, girls didn't play with boys.
And she really had my mother's hand. She just didn't have the motivation, But she could have done everything. But she didn't have my mother's motivation.
You said she had a beautiful singing voice and she
Yeah,
liked to
when
dance.
she was younger, she had a lovely singing voice.
Would she just sing around the house, or would she?
Well, she was a star in this play. She sang in the play.
And where was the play?
The play, where was it? I don't know.
Or was it
The
in a
Workman
school?
Circle gave it. Probably was
Oh.
in their auditorium. And so she was the star.
And she liked to dance. Did
Yeah.
she dance in the
She
show?
was very graceful.
Did you guys have any hobbies, or did you guys things you liked to do?
Can't think of any hobby, can you?
Actually, we surfboarded, we played golf, played golf.
Did you make up
I
games?
think I collected stamps at one time. I did collect stamps.
I
Oh,
I
yeah,
collected
that's right,
stamps
I
for a short
remember
time.
Yeah,
and
I
then
collected stamps.
then I didn't have any money, so someone gave me a book for saving stamps with some stamps in it. So then I started buying a few stamps, but you needed money to buy stamps, so I didn't have any.
You have to remember, in those days, there was nothing really, you couldn't watch television. You had to go out in the street and make your own entertainment.
play.
There was nothing to
Create
do.
your
I
own
had-
play.
I used to walk along the street looking for empty packs of cigarettes and collect the foil and make a ball out of
Oh, yeah.
And what
Well,
would she-
well, even during the war, we used to do that. They used
What
to
would Mom do with
turn
it?
in
it. I don't know
the
why
You
they
sell-
did
you
it.
could
the
sell
foil.
it. You
Turn in
sell
the
it.
foil.
You'd probably sell it.
yeah.
I used to really
Used to
collect
peel 'em
Junk
off.
deal, yeah.
Used to peel them off. Yeah, that's right.
And during the war, not during the war, when did they have the Lucky Strike hit parade? Before
Oh.
the war. If
Probably
you,
during also.
you guessed the first three songs, they would send you a carton of cigarettes.
Cigarette
Yeah.
carton.
So I always knew the first three. They had every week Lucky Strike hit parade on the radio. So I always won every week because I knew what the first three songs were, and I just would send in different positions. I put the third one first, the first one, and keep switching around. I won every week.
You're
And
so
what would you win?
smart.
A carton of cigarettes. Every week I won a carton. So I used to sell
I
them to
didn't know
Mr.
we had such
I
time.
sold it to Mr. Brody. For $1 I get, but then that's how I started to smoke. I had cartons of cigarettes.
So, you had talked before about how you never ate breakfast at the same time. You're always on your own. Did you eat like dinner at the same time, or was it just always?
No, we never
I
ate.
thought we
Did-
ate
did you
dinner
cook for
most of us
yourself
at the
when you
same
came
time.
in,
Well,
or-
when I
Well, Mom
maybe
used to
you
cook,
did.
but that doesn't mean everybody was there. Mom used to make dinner,
Couldn't
Oh,
serve
sure, my
everybody
mother
at once.
always
but
made dinner.
everybody was
I ate when
coming
I
and
came
going.
home from work, and
Right, when we were in shifts.
So you would eat in shifts because there wasn't room.
No, because people came home at different times.
Believe it or not, we had what we called a summer kitchen. It was a place next to the kitchen,
In addition to the kitchen.
and that's where didn't Mom cook in the summer
Yeah,
kitchen?
the
That's
stove
right.
was in there. Yeah.
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 So that's the Schwitz. You didn't talk at all about the Schwitz. Did you guys? Did you
Schwitz,
guys go to
yeah.
the
Pop
Schwitz?
didn't
Well,
Pop take
yeah,
you to
Pop
the-
Yeah,
took us-
I
Pop took me to my brother and I been to the Schwitz.
Yeah.
Come
Well, he
out.
took me too.
Yeah. On
Well,
Morris,
Snyder Avenue,
on
was
Morris
it?
Street.
In Morris Street.
On Morris
I think he took me to
I
one
must
on
have been this
Christian
big.
Street or Catherine Street.
And I remember one red-headed man saying to my father, point me and say, "Kick, as I like that."
Maybe
that-
because
Look,
red hair.
he's a redhead.
And he would bring like a rye bread and some whiskey, or what was?
No, you bought there. You bought food. Didn't you buy
No,
food
Well,
there?
no, the one I went when I used to go with him, he used to bring a bread and a bottle of whiskey.
Oh,
They all
yeah.
brought their own.
And
You know
then
those
they used to
bakers, they
sit-
drank.
Oh, are you kidding?
They drank.
And then they used to sit in the room and they used to talk politics
and drink whiskey.
and used to tear off the bread and they used to sit there for hours having these
Yeah.
these fierce political conversations, and they're all with their own bottles and they're all swigging away.
Yeah.
And Pop used to go take a plate. You ever see him take
Yeah.
a plate?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
At the
What's
top,
that, a massage?
In that.
no,
In
just
the,
have a room, and then there's be a
room.
bench.
The-
And the higher you go
There
up
you
the
go.
bench, the hotter it is because
Yeah.
the heat rises. Because this,
Yeah.
like there's
I
there's an
remember that.
attendant in there who has. It's so hot there. The guy has a hose, holding a hose over his
right,
head.
so-
So
and,
Poppies go to the top. The
Right,
the
yeah.
top bench,
Yeah.
lay down. Then he used to have oak leaves.
Yeah.
A place,
leaves.
well,
With
they're
the
oak
leaves,
leaves,
yeah.
which is a coarse leaf. Used to have oak leaves that are tied together on the stem. They take the leaves and they rub the skin
With-
vigorously.
yeah, with the lead.
so that your skin comes off.
Do they still do that? I don't know.
Well, I guess they have plates. That's strictly an East European thing.
Pop thought that was
Oh.
good for you.
Well,
And
he used
actually,
to,
it
he
wasn't
used to,
good
he'd
for you.
stay in there like for half an hour.
Yeah, it was not good for you.
I couldn't go in there for 5 minutes.
I was in there when he was.
Yeah.
Was there anything that the girls could do together like that?
No.
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 Did you socialize with your sisters
The only
at all?
thing they had in those days, in the olden days, they had a public swimming pool.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Oh, sure. Down at
They had a public
Third
swimming pool,
and Shunk.
and you were allowed in the pool for 1 hour.
Right.
Once a
And
day.
what?
Once a day.
Yeah, but we used to
Once a
sneak
day.
in.
So,
But they had to have
twice.
dry trunks. They
That's
could-
right.
Yeah.
so we would stand in line. There was always a long line. We'd go to the swimming pool, and we'd stay there for an hour. And on a real hot day, we'd go home and try to get our bathing suit dry and go back again.
So that's how they would check to see if you've been there, by whether your suit was dry or wet?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
they
Unless
did.
you had another suit.
Yeah,
They checked
they
you.
checked your suit.
Yeah, they did check you. And your hair had to be dry, too. But that's how we went swimming in those days. An hour a day.
Did your parents ever talk to you about the birds and the bees, or did you? How
Are you
did
kidding?
you
You
just
must
learn
be
that on your own?
That
or-
really.
Kenneth.
That
Back then?
is a good. Now that's a good question because the answer is absolutely no.
And that
In no way,
Positively.
unequivocal.
ever,
Positively.
unequivocally. This. In fact, that was a conversation that was even forbidden. You just don't talk about stuff like that.
Well,
Absolutely.
in those
not.
days, I don't think. Do you think any parents spoke to their children in those
I don't
days?
know. I
doubt
didn't
it.
have a lot of
I
parents.
doubt it.
Did your mother ever give you
No.
the girls any advice or
No.
warnings or be careful?
No.
Just
What
didn't
is
come
she
up.
going to warn them about? About becoming pregnant?
Why not?
Well, it's not
In
that.
those
You know, when a
days-
girl gets her period, and after all, it wasn't taught in school, so everything you have to learn everything in the street, and a lot of stuff you learn in the street is not good. It's not accurate. It's not true.
You know, everything we learned about sex, what we learned in the street.
In the street.
In the street.
Yeah.
And I thought that sex was, the sex act was the wrong thing. And when I found out that my parents did it, I was shocked. I think we all felt that
Yeah.
way. I mean, that's the way we felt.
So you thought it was.
It's just a lack of education. I mean, we just were ignorant.
So that
There was no source, absolutely no source of information.
Absolutely.
No.
There are no books?
source. No books. Right. There was no studies. Well, there must have been studies, but we didn't have access to them for some reason, and there was nothing in school. Oh,
Oh, those were the days. Cigarettes were good for you.
that's right.
The
were
commercials,
sexy.
Lucky Strike said,
Yeah.
reach for a sweet, reach for a lucky instead of a sweet.
Right.
And I think one of them advertised was good for a cold. If you had a cold,
Yeah,
smoke-
Cools.
Yeah, there was
Cools.
mentholated
Yeah,
cigarettes,
Cools.
and nobody knew anything. We
Right.
thought we believed it. We believed everything we saw. We didn't know anything else.
So with kids coming every 2 years, and it was a pretty small house, were you surprised? You said you were surprised that to find out your parents were having sex.
Well, that was when I discovered how babies were born.
That's when he discovered how you have fun.
Well, because when you learn about it in the street, you learn about it in a negative way.
In a
you know,
dirty
sex
way.
is dirty. Then you say to yourself, well, how can I associate my mother with something like this if it's something dirty? So it's hard to accommodate both thoughts. There's
Well,
no.
you know what? I bet some of the children nowadays think the same thing.
Well, that
No,
could be.
Right.
today it's entirely different.
I don't
I
think
know,
so.
but still.
It's, no, every
The young-
Although they learn in
there's
school, all the public
television.
schools,
You learn
all the
everything in
public,
television.
and all the public
I don't
schools.
mean that they're ignorant. I'm saying they still might look at their parents and feel that.
No, no.
I don't know. I'm not
Well,
sure.
How did your father treat your mother when she was pregnant? Would he help out at all?
That's
or-
a sore subject. I don't even want to
Yeah.
bring
Yeah,
that
we're
up.
not going to discuss
We don't
that
want to discuss
subject.
it.
No. Okay.
He was
talk
pretty
about other
ignorant
things.
about these things. He wasn't a loving husband, believe me. He just was ignorant, that's all.
Did you guys help out when she was pregnant? Did it
Well,
affect
we
your
always
lives?
helped our mother. We always helped her any way we could. I mean, we ran all the errands for her. You know, we were always we had good relations with our mother.
In retrospect, we could have been more helpful, but we weren't
That's
doing
right.
housework.
Well, that's just a general
and helping,
statement
you know,
that
Well, you were
I
kids,
feel.
you didn't know any better.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was out on the baseball field at the recreation center all day in the summer. Stayed there all day long.
Well, we all did. I was outside all the time. I was.
No, I mean the rec. I was at the rec.
Yeah.
Until Pop came after me at night. I didn't come home.
Did you have to go out and sometimes? Did you have to look at? Milton was a little kid. Did you guys have to go out and?
Well, I think my
Grab 'em?
sisters took care of
No,
me.
no. My brother used to run. Both my brothers used to run after me. Ben used to run after me when he caught me running up 4th Street. He'd grab me by the ear.
Not by the ear, by the neck.
Oh, by the neck. All right, but either way, it hurt. So he says, "Look, if you don't walk home, you're coming home with me. If you don't walk home, and it's going to hurt." So I have to struggle. So it used to hurt.
You were
I
bad.
remember that.
Sometimes. You what?
I remember that.
Yeah, that's right. And Norman sometimes ran after me.
Did the girls ever look after each other like that, or they were closer in age, so that wasn't an issue, or?
The girls ever looked after each other? Is that what you
Yeah.
asked? In what way? I don't remember doing that.
Don't remember socializing much with your sisters, or?
No,
Hmm.
not really.
I think all the girls went their own way. You know what I mean?
Well, Ethel was married very young.
Yeah.
and,
Well, that's all you can forget about. She was married right away.
Very young.
Yeah.
And Rose went her own way. She wasn't too concerned with whatever. And Mary was always very highly strung, and she was hard to do anything for. Mary.
Oh, Mary was isolated from the family.
Yeah, it's sad, but when you
It's
think
very
about
sad.
it, it's very sad.
It is.
Because as
Absolutely
each child
sad.
is born, the other children felt neglected. And Mary should have been, if she were born, recent years, she would have been probably taken to a psychologist and could have been straightened out. But who knew about those things in that day? I remember that she wanted to drop out of high school, and I know my mother dragged her to the office of the principal and asked the principal to please talk to her so she would go to school. She'd continue to go, but she didn't.
Mary's story is a sad story.
It's a sad story.
It's just the one
She
word
was
that
a lost soul.
the
Well,
one word
the thing
that goes
is,
that
she
is a
was
sad
the
story.
fourth daughter, and it's like,
Well,
who
my-
wanted a fourth daughter?
My father, one thing I remember of the real early days, I remember when Norma was born. It was on Franklin Street. My father was beside himself with joy. He had a red-headed son. And I remember the big party they had, the bris, and he was carrying Norman all over the place. He had a red-headed son. And he liked the idea of his son so much that he went ahead and made some more.
So the daughters are all older than the than the boys.
There were 4 girls and 3 boys.
Ah, in that order.
They were very organized.
How about your mother? It sounds like your mother, just like you said, it was the fingers all the same.
My mother didn't have time to show favoritism. She did the best that she
She
could
was
for
so
all of us.
busy in the house doing something, she didn't have time to even think about it.
You know what it is
She
to
would cook for 9 people every day.
You know how your father was born?
How?
My mother was going to have an abortion. My mother had about 3 or 4 abortions.
Norman. We weren't supposed to talk
And
about that
a
subject.
neighbor across the
So
street,
what?
No, I
Mrs.
don't like to
Brody,
do that.
went over to my mother and said, "Don't have an abortion." That was Milton. My mother was 41 or 42 years
That
old.
wasn't why. She had had an abortion, and she
I thought Mrs.
she
Brody...
had to go to the hospital. She was hemorrhaging, and an ambulance came and took her to the hospital. And the doctor said she could not have any more abortions. That's why. She
I thought
didn't have an
Mrs. Brody
abortion.
came and
No,
talked to her.
No,
Well, anyway, Milton was
It
born...
sounded good, Norman.
Uh,
no.
she was about 42 years old when Milton was born.
And that was a surprise.
Yeah, we're all pretty happy about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Tell
well,
me about
it
how I
worked out.
washed your mouth
Well,
with
that's
oxygen
right.
soap
Because
with brown
right,
soap.
I was living in a house with 7 parents. So Gene loves the story because one day I did something and
He said some bad words.
I said one bad. I
remember what
accidentally
he said.
pushed a stick I had through the front window. So when Mom started yelling at me or something, I said I didn't say anything terrible. I said
No, whatever it was.
whatever. I said damn it, or I said something that wasn't too bad, but nonetheless it was on the prohibited list. So when Jean came home from work, my mother told her about it. So she dragged me into the summer kitchen, and she grabs me by the hair, and she takes a bar of soap,
Not plain soap, octagon, that brown soap, which
Ooh.
is horrible.
and she says I'm going to wash your mouth out with soap.
Hey,
Now
that
stand
brown
still.
soap.
And she's pushing soap in my mouth,
That brown
and I'm
soap
choking
is
on the
horrible
goddamn soap.
Ooh.
And she,
Why'd you use
Well,
brown
you know.
soap?
Because he said
Brown
something.
because I
soap
said
is
that word.
I was
remember?
trying to
For-
teach him.
She was
for
trying to teach me
cleaning,
a
it's not
lesson.
even.
Well, I
hand soap.
remembered the lesson.
Yeah.
So she actually.
But how about what
so
Pop did after when he came in?
Yeah.
He wanted to kill me. He
Yeah,
said to me,
he didn't.
"Don't
like
you
that.
do that to my son."
Yeah, he didn't like
You
it.
know, in our house, nobody ever said any bad words.
Right.
I mean, I never saw a house again. No one would say the word with shit. No bad word was ever
Well,
uttered in our
in
house.
those days they didn't use such
we
profanity.
didn't. Don't say that. We didn't.
I have to tell you another incident with Milton. I don't know if Milton ever even remembers this. I kind of took charge of Milton. So it was around Christmas time, and he had been very, very bad
It's me.
and done a lot of naughty things.
That's me.
So I said to him, if you continue doing these
Right.
things, you're going to find coal in your-
Absolutely, and I
your
remember
sock.
that. I remember that.
So
I was
when
devastated.
Christmas came, now we didn't
The
celebrate
next
this.
morning I came down, I
had
was so
two
anxious.
socks full of coal. I went down the basement,
Right.
got the coal,
Right.
and he found.
Man, I'll tell you, I was really shook up because I expected, you don't get that much. I expected to
Something.
get something.
They found coal.
But that's all right because we shouldn't have been celebrating Christmas anyway.
No, we really didn't, but it was just symbolic
Yeah.
of something.
Yeah, but I remember that. I remember that. I don't know him. I don't remember being bad. I remember the call.
What did we get on Hanukkah? Pennies or something?
We didn't
Somebody
celebrate it.
gave us pennies.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, coin every day, penny every day. I don't know.
Well, when we went to school, when I went to elementary school, I got a penny a day, and with the penny, I would buy a soft pretzel.
Is that for Hanukkah?
No,
No,
this
every
was
day.
every day to go to school and during the recess.
Recess.
We ate soft pretzels were a penny.
Well, I remember I walked to the library, which is at Broad Street, and we were at 4th Street. And at 7th and Snyder, there was a stand. They sold pretzels and vinegar pickles. So we always bought the pretzel and the vinegar pickle, and that's what we ate on our way to the library. Remember that, vinegar pickles?
So
I had
that's
to walk a couple of miles to the library. We were on 4th Street. The library was on Broad
Well,
Street.
if there's one big thing that's really changed dramatically, to my mind, is we used to walk everywhere. I mean, if there was somewhere, if you had to go somewhere, you walked there.
Well, you had
And
no
today, well, I know what I'm saying, and today nobody walks anywhere.
Yeah.
It's
We couldn't afford to go on a trolley, and
Right.
it was 8 cents a
Right.
fare, 2 for 15,
Right.
and we couldn't afford it. We didn't have
Right.
15 cents.
Well, you know what? Mom did something that maybe a lot of parents don't do today. She used to say no a lot. And
She didn't
Pop,
have
too.
it.
Maybe
Well,
she
I mean,
didn't
but-
have it.
No, I know.
Maybe
I'm not
she
saying.
didn't have it.
She
I mean,
didn't have it.
I mean, the fact that you say, today you don't say no to kids, and
She really didn't have it.
Well,
and that was a time when you were told no a lot, and that's kind of that experience stays with you when you
Right.
you become to be. You come to be able to be willing for someone to tell you no.
I remember when she bought me a tricycle.
Yeah.
Remember the tricycle?
I remember when I got one.
When did she
Mom
get you a
bought you a
tricycle?
tricycle?
Yeah, I don't know how old I was. I was maybe 8 or 9 or something. Maybe you used the same one.
No. When I was around 7 years old, I was getting sore throats, and at that time they don't do it anymore. But they took as soon as you get
Tonsils out.
they take your tonsils out. So unbeknownst to me, someone had told my mother for me to have my tonsils out. So we had to go to
Went to
Mount
the Mount
Sinai
Sinai
Hospital. I
Hospital.
didn't want to go.
Yeah.
So she kept telling me, look, we're going to get on the number 9. So we go over to so she says, look, get on, she says, I'll buy you a chocolate bar, and you get on the trolley. So I was fighting. Finally, I was thinking about that chocolate bar. No, this is the truth. That chocolate bar just grabbed me, and I said, okay, because I was dying for that chocolate bar. So she brought me the chocolate bar, we got on the trolley, and we went to the hospital, and I had an unfortunate experience.
Well,
here,
you
but-
were lucky. When I went to have my tonsils taken out, we walked.
I
to
walked.
the
We
hospital.
walked.
We walked.
Right.
To Mount Sinai Hospital.
In those days, you had to have your tonsils taken out.
And you walked back afterwards?
I don't remember.
Well, the Mount Sinai Hospital is at 5th
Reed.
and Reed.
Around there,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So you're talking
It's a
about
long walk.
It's a long walk.
That's a
right?
long walk.
It's was it around 18 blocks?
And I remember they had
No.
about 5
About 7.
kids. They sat
No.
you
No,
on
no,
the-
it's
on
more
the-
than 7.
2,400.
No. They
That
took
was
about 5 kids at a time.
1,600.
And they put the kids on a,
6 and
what do you call
24
it,
is
the
18.
flat thing that they push you on.
Mhm.
And they said, now who wants to go first? Nobody volunteered, so
Right.
that's how they took each one.
For the tonsils.
Had their tonsils out.
Well, I had a terrible experience because, first of all, I remember they took me in, and I was really scared, and there was a nurse there with a long gray or whatever tunic on, and they put me in a crib, and I kept saying, don't go away, to Mom, don't go away, she said, don't worry. So they start undressing, she starts undressing me, and they put a gown on me, and then the nurse says, imagine, it's totally opposite to what happens today. The nurse says, you have to leave now.
I
to
know.
Mom.
Yeah.
And she left, and I started to scream. I mean, I remember.
You were
I was
Petrified.
I was so petrified.
They gave
that,
you ether, didn't they?
yeah.
Sure.
Ether.
And I remember
It
that.
had a terrible smell.
Well, they put a mask over my face,
Yeah.
and I imagined myself on a swing. And
I
was
remember
swinging up and
too.
back.
I remember.
I remember that, and then of course it was.
I remember like I was going around.
But
and around.
it was a
I
terrifying
yeah,
experience.
yeah, terrible.
Terrifying.
It was.
And when you wake
Nobody
up,
prepared. Nobody said anything.
when
to
you
me.
wake up, your throat
Yeah,
is so
so
sore,
And
raw.
you're
Right.
nauseous.
And I wanted
I
to,
threw
and I
up
wanted to,
afterwards.
right, and I wanted to drink so badly,
Yeah,
and
they wouldn't allow
so they
it.
kept saying you're not supposed to drink. So finally, someone came in, and I was begging for some water. So someone gave me a glass of water. So I drank it,
And
and
you
then
threw
I
up.
vomited.
Then you throw
I
up.
must have vomited a quart of blood.
That's what
all
happens
over the
when you
bed,
drink
all over-
water. You
yeah.
throw up.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was around 6 or 7,
Boy.
7 years old. But it was a very harrowing experience.
I
It's
don't know how old
It's a
I
shame.
was.
that
How old were we when we had our tonsils taken?
Kids are. I mean, kids are
Did you have your tonsils
traumatized.
taken? How
They're,
come?
Right.
How old were you guys when you had yours in?
I don't.
I don't know. I guess I was about 6 or 7.
How come Ben didn't have his tonsils taken out?
I guess he didn't get a lot of sore
He
throat.
did have a lot of upper respiratory.
Well, I had. I must have been about 7.
Yes, every one of us had the same.
I
That's
had
pretty
my
much the
appendix
s-
taken out when I was 8, 8
Yeah.
or 9.
I remember when
Your appendix came out.
Well, he had a bad experience.
I
With
had a
that.
Tell me
bad
about that,
experience. Well, those doctors didn't know what they were doing at the time, and they called the doctor. I was in terrible pain, and he gave me a laxative.
Yeah,
After
which is
that,
exactly-
I was,
which is exactly the opposite
I
of
was
what.
in
Imagine.
agony. I was doubled over for 3 days. I was like tortured, and So I remember, I was so sick. They called a cab.
they called an ambulance.
I remember going in a
Cabulance.
cab.
A cabulance?
Took
Remember
me to
cab-
the hospital,
remember
operated on me right
I-
away.
An
Okay.
ambulance or a cabulance.
It's a miracle my appendix didn't burst.
Yeah.
You're lucky.
Boy, I'll tell you.
I mean, this gives you an idea of. It's like the days of the plague, when people
Yeah.
just dropped and nobody understands what's happening. No one knows how to deal with it, and
They didn't know how to deal with children in hospitals. They didn't bother dealing with children in hospitals.
Well, for appendix, you shouldn't take a laxative. It's the worst thing you can do.
Well, of course, everybody knows that.
Did
Yeah,
you?
but in those days, the doctor didn't know it.
Do you remember helping him recover, like when he came back?
Well, when I came back, my mother made a big party.
Oh, really?
She made a party.
what from your appendix?
Yeah, after the operation,
Yeah.
we had a party.
What kind of party? Like,
All the kids in the neighborhood.
yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's
That
nice.
was unusual. I never
Well,
had a party. How come
well-
you had a party?
Because I guess because I was very sick at the I was really
Oh.
sick. Boy, was I sick.
Okay, well, we're going to start wrapping up now. Are there any
Okay.
subjects that you wanted to say anything about?
What's your final word?
My final word is that people today don't know how lucky they are, and they didn't have to go through the things that people had to go through a long time ago. I mean, there were no. When we were kids, we didn't have anything to watch. We didn't have any entertainment, and
Well, you made your
today
own.
it's all taken for granted. Kids get gifts continuously, all kind of gifts. When we were kids, we didn't get any gifts.
So
Right,
what's the
Milton?
punchline of that?
The punchline is the kids of today don't appreciate anything, and parents should stop giving and giving and giving them everything.
Okay.
Don't make a generalization like that.
Well,
It's
all
not
right.
All right. All right.
I mean, they go away on vacations. They go skiing.
So what's wrong with that?
Where'd we go on vacation?
Oh,
But they
sorry.
All
don't.
right.
They
Whose
don't
fault?
appreciate it.
Whose
Okay,
fault was
how
that?
about
Well, we
Not
live at a
appreciated.
different time.
It's not appreciated.
All right, Ben. What do you have something to say as your final word?
Yeah, I think we're all lucky to survive the early days.
Right.
That's about it.
Yeah, in the early days, we never knew what to eat, what not to eat. We ate whatever tasted good.
I mean,
we
whoever
ate.
heard of Oat Bran, right?
Yeah, whoever heard of oat bran? And whoever heard
Norman,
of
I think as a matter of record, you have to tell them how you make your cereal in the morning.
No,
That
Ben
should
gets
go
upset.
down.
Ben gets upset
Is
if
that
I,
right, Ben? You
if
get
I
upset?
describe
No,
my.
I
says
think
so.
that absolutely
No,
must
he-
go into the record.
No.
That is very important.
Well, cold cereal or hot cereal?
Hot cereal.
Depends on winter or summer.
Come on, Norman. Tell me your
Well,
recipe.
I take oat bran and cook it and put in a banana and raisins. And sometimes if I have sunflower seeds, I'll throw them in too.
Is that all?
Sometimes it
Wow,
goes
how
in
much you
chicken
want?
breast.
No.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And the cold cereal, you have to have cereal with fiber.
That's right.
I mean, these people who eat product 19 and K cereal and cornflakes don't know that those cereals are useless.
Yeah, we got to start.
And
No, just, Norman, just tell what goes in it. Don't tell about the philosophizing about it.
Well,
I want the rest of the family maybe.
I don't know if I should tell them
You already
about
told us.
Those,
that.
he's
Did you
liable to
tell them
scare
what
him
goes
away.
into cold cereal?
I don't know if I should tell them about Uncle Sam.
About who?
Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam. Uncle
Uncle
Sam is the
Sam?
best cold cereal there is. Ask Milton.
Oh,
It is the
okay.
best.
Okay, all right, you're finished.
I'm finished with my mother.
Yeah.
I'm finished. Buy Uncle Sam cereal. It has, what does it have? That
Amino.
amino
Okay.
amino acid, just
See,
like
my
fish.
father was a health nut, and he really inherited from my father. He's a health nut. Okay? Are we all wrapped up now?
did you want to say anything in closing?
No, I think that when we grew up, we didn't have a lot of money in our home, but I think we always knew, even though love wasn't shown, we always knew, especially from my mother, that we were loved very much and cared for very much. So.
We all felt part of the family. The family, we had feelings for. We didn't walk around being demonstrative, but we always knew that we cared for each other. I think that probably is a fact.
Yeah, and we can't end up without me telling you that when Milton came and spent weekends after I was married with us, he specialized in chocolate pie. That was his
Oh, boy,
specialty.
yeah.
Speciality. He made the chocolate whipped cream pie or
That's right,
whatever.
yeah.
Don't listen, Norman. Chocolate whipped cream pie.
Yeah, well, we did.
No, he did it. We made lemon pie or chocolate pie.
Yeah, mostly.
Well, thanks for
But
enduring
thank you
2
for
hours.
thank you for your
Okay.
time
Hot
and
lights.
for all the effort you put forth, and we'll look forward to seeing it.
Good.
All right.
And I thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Gene didn't let me tell about my Uncle Sam cereal. I'm going to hold that against him, Gene.
Okay, next time, Norm.
No.
Next time.